Hey, this is Dr. Corey Glenn, and in this video I'm going to be showing a new tutorial on the most updated version of Blue Sky Plan. This is version 4.7.15, and what I'll be going through is the new Denture module. Now this is something I think you'll really like because most of the bugs that were plaguing previous versions have been fixed in this one, so things like overextended bases, teeth moving in a weird manner, all of those things have now been fixed, and we've also created more of a wizard workflow that leads you through the steps so that you're not jumping around to so many different panels to achieve the results you're wanting. So I'll say briefly before we jump into the case that the models that we're using in this case are these three. You see I have a buccal bite, and then with the buccal bite turned off, there's an upper and a lower master model. There's an entire separate video that will go through all of the different ways that you can acquire your data. This just happens to be the one used in this case. The patient had acceptable dentures as far as aesthetics and the VDO. The fit was just a little poor. So what we opted to do is use his current dentures as impression trays and then do reline impressions inside of that. And then by scanning in both of those denture impressions and rubber banding them together and scanning in a buccal bite, that's how we achieved all of our models and got them into the correct orientation. So with that done, let's jump over to the software, and this is a new screen that you'll not have seen before in previous builds. Again, we're trying to shift more towards a wizard workflow so that the software will lead you through the steps required to achieve, in this case, a digital denture. So let's go ahead and click on dentures, and the first step is to import your models, so let's click on that. What you want to do is go ahead and find all of your models, and it's important that you select all of the models and import them simultaneously. You don't want to go one by one and be pulling them in individually. So the way that we'll do that is that we're going to find the models in your computer and then hold down the control button on your keyboard and left click each of those models so that they're all highlighted. Once you've highlighted all the models that you want to bring in, go ahead and click OK. And this is a new screen that will come up, and what this is an automated feature that allows you to align all of the models simultaneously. If you've used previous versions, you notice that you had to bring all the models in individually, and then you had to align each of them individually, and it was a pretty tedious step. So with this, we've automated that, and what you want to do is choose one of the jaws. I really prefer to use the maxilla because it has better landmarks for aligning. And then come over and amongst the models that you imported, choose the corresponding model, in this case the maxilla, and we have to tell it what kind of models we've selected. So in this case, this is edentulous models, and let's click Continue to Alignment. And at this stage, what you want to do is go ahead and indicate the points that the software is prompting you to put on the models. So the first one we need to do is the patient's right hamular notch. So hold down your shift key. When you hold down the shift key, you see your mouse arrow turn into a crosshair, and you want to click in the hamular notch on this side. Then it tells you to go to the incisive papilla, so shift and left click here, and then finally your other hamular notch. And by doing that, it's going to automatically position this to where it should be very close to the ideal position. Now the way that alignment was done is that it aligns the midline, this vertical component, by making that plane pass through the incisive papilla and then just splitting the difference between these two hamular notches, and so that will create more or less the midline of the patient. And then these 3 points are also important because the hamular notches incisive papilla form a plane which is known as the hip plane. And studies indicate that in about 80% of people, the hip plane corresponds to their occlusal plane. It will be parallel to that. And so by doing that, you see that it also puts the model in the correct horizontal orientation. You can look at it from the side and again see that this plane is lined up across here. And the reason that it's up off of the horizontal plane slightly is because anatomic studies also indicate that the incisal edge is going to be located about 7 millimeters down and 7 millimeters forward of the incisive papilla. And so that is about where this plane is, so you could set your teeth right on this plane, and that should give you a very good initial proposal. So now that we've got this aligned, I'm going to go ahead and click Continue. Now you have the opportunity at this stage to correct anything that you want to correct about the model alignment. So it looks, based on my point, like I've got a slight cant, so I'm going to rotate the widget up and make that more horizontal. You can also at this stage go ahead and turn on the other models And as you see, unlike previous versions, all of the models come into that same alignment based on the alignment you did to just the single model. There's no individually going back and aligning things. So since we want to replicate this patient's existing occlusal plane, what I'm going to do is rotate this up and try to place his occlusal plane right on this horizontal plane in the grid. Okay. As far as the midline is concerned, I want to put the midline going directly between the two central incisors, and then again the cant looks like it could be rotated up just slightly. So now we have his existing denture occlusion aligned to this plane, so when you're ready to import teeth, it's going to make life a lot easier because you can simply pull in the entire dentition of teeth and place them right on this plane, and with the vertical component going right through the midline. So with that done, we've finished the alignment, and I'll click Finish. And as you see here, it brings all of the models that we imported into alignment with the skull. No individual aligning of things anymore. So that's a big step forward that will make starting the case much easier. And with that done, now we're ready to click Continue to Denture Design.